Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week. On Sunday last, several residents of Tiger Bay, Georgetown benefited from fire safety and prevention training, which was spearheaded by the Guyana Fire Service. The exercise was conducted when Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben, along with fire officers, visited the community and interacted with residents, all part of a week of activities to observe fire prevention.
Well, of course, this is part of Fire Prevention Week 2021. In spite of the disappointments and setback we have had recently, particularly speaking to the Brickdam Police Station fire, we have to carry on. We have to improve the confidence of the communities in the work of the fire service and the ministry. And one of the critical things is prevention.
Residents received smoke detectors and were also shown live demonstrations of how these should be installed and used. They were also shown the correct way to handle a fire extinguisher. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, and Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, have extended congratulations to Guyana Shorebase Inc. for hosting a job fair on Sunday last. Minister Singh said the initiative was a great one, while Minister Indar noted that the company had approached him for advice on areas to position the job fairs.
I think it's extremely commendable, and the company is really to be applauded for taking this initiative and for coming into the communities, going to where potential recruits live and making their staff available both to communicate the type of work that GISB does and also to receive expressions of interest and applications from potential applicants.
I said the best place is for the catchment area where Gaisuku lost workers, because Gaisuku lost a lot of technical people that had technical education. They had good welders, good mechanics,
Residents in Better Hope and surrounding communities on the east coast of Demerara can now access quality health care services, as the community's health center was reopened on Monday. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony, during the opening, urged members of the community to use every available health service at the facility.
We have to make sure that everybody that we know, that we talk to them, we encourage them to go and get vaccinated. And that is why we thought that it's important that we put a permanent vaccination site right here so that it's accessible to anyone on the east coast of Demerara.
In addition to offering the usual medical services, the health center will also be used as a permanent COVID-19 vaccination site for the east coast of Demerara. A total of $25 million was expended to rehabilitate the facility. Minister of Education Priya Manikchan on Monday last visited the newly constructed Westminster Secondary School located in Leparford Harmony on the west bank of Demerara for its first official opening day of the new school year. While addressing students, Minister Manikchan urged that they make full use of the opportunities and the resources presented to them.
If you were doing bad in school before and all your friends take off and left you behind and you're becoming last in the class, today is your day to wipe the slate clean. Say to yourself, that was my past. It will not be my future. And when you get homework, sit down and do it. Today is the day you get to decide what the future of your life will look like.
The Education Minister says the school plays an important role in providing educational support to the people of Region 3. Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat has urged mining officers to push for the use of more sustainable mining practices. The minister made these statements during the opening of a 3-day drilling and blasting course for officers of the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission on Tuesday morning.
We must ensure that we do it in a manner that we don't cause any distress or destruction to the environment, to our indigenous communities, to the lives and livelihood of our people. We would like to see the mining sector being accident-free. We would like to see, as a matter of fact, a year without any fatalities in the mining sector. That is a challenge I think GGMC is taking very seriously.
The Central Laboratory of the Ghana Rice Development Board was on Tuesday recertified by the Ghana National Bureau of Standard for testing in rice and paddy. The certification received conforms with the requirements of the Ghana Standards, GYS 170 of 2009, general requirements for the operation of the laboratory. During a simple ceremony, Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa said the lab will boost the nation's position in the production of rice.
And this lab has to certify the quality of our production, both locally and internationally what we exported. And I think over the last few years, this lab has played a very, very important role. And whilst it has played an important role, it has helped us to enhance the development in the rice industry, where today rice is one of the main contributors to our GDP.
Meanwhile, the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board also on Tuesday handed over 12 pesticide storage cabinets to farmers across Guyana. The mini cupboards were designed with adequate space and security to store pesticides and chemicals and will now be distributed to farmers annually.
Last year, we would have presented a number of those cabinets to farmers across the country. This year, we are making that activity bigger. And I want to say from the inception that this activity will become an annual activity where the Pesticide and Toxic Chemical Control Board will be making at least 100 cabinets available to farmers.
The Health Emergency Operating Center is conducting visits to both public and private sector entities to ensure they're in compliance with the gazetted measures. On Wednesday's COVID-19 update, Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony says this is part of the government's plan to combat the spread of COVID-19.
The HEOC would have visited at least 52 such businesses, and they're looking to see whether or not people are complying with the measures. Many of the businesses have not been in compliance. They have noted this. They spoke to the business owners, pointing out the deficiencies. And this week we'll be writing those businesses official letters pointing out that they're not in compliance and asking them, giving them a time period in which to get themselves in order.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security is creating an avenue for vulnerable young women to safely share their stories through the Storyboard Initiative. The program was launched recently and saw 25 young women receiving book bags containing toiletries, an Amazon Fire tablet, and a Scrabble board game. Minister Dr. Vindhya Prasad, in her address at the program launch, encouraged the young women to utilize the platform of creative writing to express themselves.
Stories are powerful forms of communication. Every one of us would have read a story of someone out there who struggled, who had a hard life, and yet they were able to go beyond that difficulty, beyond those challenges, and they made something of themselves. But more than that, not only did they make something of themselves, they were able to inspire someone else or many people to become successful, to help them pass their own difficulties because they shared an experience.
Meanwhile, Minister Prasad, during a visit to Regions 5 and 6, distributed 750 hampers to residents and overlooked the distribution of 2022 pension booklets and the one-off $25,000 grant at various pension outlets.
In addition to coming to communities and distributing hampers, I've been visiting a lot of the sites. The actual process just takes about 2 minutes. What you have to do is they find your name on the list, they put the stickers on the book and the voucher, you sign, and that's the end of it. It's a simple process.
The construction of the new Lusignan prison is on track for its February 2022 deadline. Acting Director of Prisons Nicolon Elliott led a tour of the facility on Wednesday, where he announced that the facility is 25% completed. He added that the facility will also have fire prevention features installed. The construction of the prison facility is a commitment of the PPPC administration following destruction of sections of the Georgetown and the old Lusignan prisons. Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Inder, has described the private sector as the engine of growth. The minister, delivering remarks on behalf of President Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali, was addressing companies at the Guyana National Bureau of Standards National Quality Awards. First Lady Mrs. Arya Ali was also present at the ceremony.
Private sector, it's really the engine of growth. It's a slogan that you normally see everywhere you go. But the essence of it is that it is the engine of growth. It is when private sector do well that the national numbers that we see in our economic performance shows up good. And then we can go and we can say, well, we are a good government. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's because of the private sector, and obviously, coupled with that, the intervention from the state and the government of Guyana has actually saw that the Guyana economy in the first half of this year has grown by 14.5%.
Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bar, performing the duties of Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, highlighted that the local content legislation will soon be presented to the National Assembly. He said it will ensure that Guyanese and Guyanese businesses benefit from the country's resources.
The local content legislation will not be passed in the National Assembly to protect mediocrity by local companies. The local content legislation will not be passed to give you monopoly. We need to compete on the international stage. We need to compete on the regional stage. Our goods and services and the price associated with it must be competitive. It must be competitive.
Some $18 million was expended to construct the Paipang Primary and $16 million for the Rupununi and Fly Hill Primary Schools, respectively. Each school was also furnished at a cost of $3 million. The schools were commissioned by Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Dharamlal during a 3-day outreach.
Today is a manifestation of your prayers. Your prayers have been answered. In the Rupununi, we have 52 primary schools. Before I came yesterday, we had 50 primary schools. Over the last 2 days already, we commissioned an additional 2 primary schools at Rupununi. So those children at Rupununi used to walk to Anai every day. So they now have their own primary school. Many years ago, they've always been asking too for their own school, because the children have to move from Paipang to Tiger Pond. And sometimes these children have to stay at night in Tiger Pond. Nobody to take care of them. Their parents all worried.
The minister also commissioned a teacher's quarters at Paipang and Tiger Pond for $14 million and $9 million, respectively. Nursery school pupils will also be housed at the schools. The USAID, in collaboration with UNICEF, donated 10 tents to the Ministry of Health to boost Guyana's vaccination efforts. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony said the tents will be used to extend vaccination services and provide comfortable environments for persons taking their jabs.
This donation of these tents would certainly help us to extend our service, to make sure that people who are coming to get vaccinated would be in a much more comfortable environment. We are very grateful, and because of this, we have been able to extend our program and being able to roll out the vaccination program in such an effortless manner.
The Agriculture Ministry on Wednesday awarded 15 contracts valued at $2.7 billion to several qualified bidders for the completion of critical projects to boost the sector. The simple signing ceremony, which was held in the ministry's boardroom, saw 12 contractors receiving the green light to begin works with specific guidelines. Some $17.9 million was awarded to CEMO to design, review, and supervise the pump station at Greenwich Park, Barnwell, on the east bank of Essequibo. General contractor Sheriaz Bacchus will construct the Myconi Creek Right Bank Agriculture Road in Region 5 at a cost of $685.8 million. A pump station will be built at Cottage Myconi and at Blackbush Polder Currentine. The agreements were signed at a value of $891.2 million and $978.7 million, respectively. Minister Mustafa said the projects are significant to the development of the nation's food industry.
We will continue to monitor these projects very closely because we want value for our money, and at the same time we want a project that when we complete it, that the members of the public out there will be satisfied with the projects.
Meanwhile, Minister Mustafa also met with farmers of Craig and Garden of Eden on the east bank of Demerara, where he assured that the government is working to address their challenges. At Garden of Eden, Minister Mustafa said the regional authority will launch an investigation into the operation of cokers and sluices within the community. His remarks follow several complaints by farmers that the system is not being properly managed.
We can't get people working this, and I'm not saying that the operator is at fault. I'm not saying that the residents are making allegations that are not true, but I want an investigation to take place to know what is the real issues that are affecting this community.
The EPA will also be contacted to investigate what appears to be an oil-like substance in the water. The COVID-19 pandemic has imposed unprecedented challenges on the regional education system. A Minister of Education, Priya Manichan, believes firmly that the Caribbean and Guyana must address the socio-economic disparities that affect students and teachers.
The digital divide and other similar equity issues were brought into sharp focus as the deep fissures between those possessing the wherewithal to adapt and those ill-equipped to undertake such adjustments became very pronounced. It is therefore vital that, as we examine strategies and approaches for the advancement of education within the region, equal attention is given to addressing the structural and systemic barriers that inhibit those within our respective territories from effectively participating and benefiting.
Minister Manichan noted that it is critical that the region is candid about harsh realities the pandemic has forced on its people. Some $15 million has been used to rehabilitate Fly Hill, $30 million for Upakari, and $7 million for Paipang, and $5 million for Kwatata health centers, respectively. This development follows the commissioning of several health facilities by Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Nigel Dharamla.
Healthcare is very important in our country, and as you are aware, in the Rupununi, this has always been one of the issues affecting our people, the delivery of quality health care. And everywhere we have gone, we have also noted that all of our facilities would have the requisite drugs and medical supplies, because that used to be one of the sicknesses within the health system in Guyana, where when our Amerindian brothers and sisters go to some of these facilities, that there was not enough drugs and medical supplies to provide to them.
Moderate and middle-income house lots were distributed at Grove, Great Diamond, and Little Diamond on the east bank of Demerara on Friday. Minister Colin Crowell, along with Minister Susan Rodriguez, kick-started the Dream Realized event, which provided service to persons who had applied for lots prior to 2015. Minister Crowell emphasized during his brief address to the allottees that government is well on track to deliver its promise of distributing 50,000 house lots by 2025. Minister Crowell said $7 billion is being invested to upgrade access roads, bridges, pipe networks, drains, and culverts.
Similar infrastructure works are expected to come on stream for within Plantation, Golden Grove, Little, and Great Diamond. These areas, when you include them, should see us spending close to $21.5 billion to develop new housing areas on the east bank of Demerara, inclusive of a new 4-lane concrete highway from Eccles to Great Diamond. In short, for this year, 2021, and next year, our projected plans should see us expending $28 billion here on East Bank alone.
Meanwhile, Minister Rodriguez explained that the government's commitment is not only to distribute house lots, but also on home ownership. The minister noted that the government wants to avoid having schemes which are not fully occupied.
It's the beginning of our relationship, because throughout the process of moving you from an allottee, being able to conclude and complete the infrastructure works for you to be able to go and occupy your lot, then to get you from that position to becoming holders of your certificates of title, and then being able to take that to the bank and to acquire a loan and to construct your own home. The Ministry of Housing and Water, President Valley and the government of Guyana will be there with you every step of the way.
The recipients were also granted access to several commercial banks and insurance companies to provide financial advice and to help kickstart home construction. The Ministry of Public Works on Friday signed 8 contracts valued at $1.5 billion for major road upgrades in several parts of Guyana. The signing was done in the presence of the Minister of Public Works, Bishop Juan Edgehill, and Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar. Speaking with contractors and the media, Minister Edgehill noted that these roads are important and residents have been lobbying for them to be done for a long time. Among the major road works to be completed is the construction of the Molson Creek to El Dorado Road in Region 6, which will be done at a cost of over $151 million. The length of the road is 2,500 meters with a width of 7.2 meters.
You're putting on this first phase, and then you'll have to bring it to an asphalted concrete road, because ultimately, when you have the bridge, it's containerized traffic and everything that is going to be passing there. So in that whole scheme of things, you'll have to eventually get up to asphalted concrete road.
Residents of number 46 Village East Berbice Quarantine will soon have titles for lands they have occupied for decades. This assurance was given by Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Senior Counsel Mohopir Anil Nandlal, during a meeting. The Attorney General informed the residents that the process to ensure they have ownership is moving apace.
So this singular plan will be used to get descriptions for all of you for the land that you occupy, and eventually when title comes, after the process is concluded, the description of your land that will be on your title will be derived from this plan. Part of the work is concluded, which was to get a proper, comprehensive and accurate plan. And please, none of you don't change your boundaries, extend your paling from now till this case come out, because it can cause problem. Any movement of any boundaries here will result in it will cause great disaster in this process.
Also this week, Minister of Education Priya Manikchan applauded those students who have now officially completed the 2021 National Grade 6 Assessment. Minister Manikchan pointed out that despite the severe effects of the pandemic on the education sector, children still performed impressively.
I was very nervous about it, to deliver education differently from the way the country has done it since we came into existence. Even before we had schools and people used to teach in churches or under trees, it was always face-to-face. And so to have done that without seeing children, they have entire children who never saw their teachers face in person. They saw them online until the exam day. And so it was always very risky. But we had no choice. We tried to make these children as equal as if they were in school. And that's why you don't see poor results here. In fact, in our worst year, COVID here, we did the best in social studies and English.
Notably, 13,822 pupils wrote the NGSA exams this year. Minister Manikchan also assured that her ministry will contact those absentees so that they too will have a chance to write their exams. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.